I don't know why you're clapping so much. I don't have hula hoops. So, I met some of you outside, and I noticed that when we meet each other, we introduce ourselves with our unique perspectives on the world. Like, hi, I'm Angad, this is what I'm into, this is what I like. But the question I want to ask us today is, how unique are we? Let me show you something cool. About 9,000 people expressed interest in coming to the TED event. Of those 9,000 people, we randomly selected about 500 or 1,000, and we started looking at their entire online footprint. All the groups they had joined, all the posts that they had publicly shared, all the pages they had liked. And we began to cluster all of these sort of data points into some patterns. We noticed that out of the 9,000 people who had expressed an interest in coming to the TED event, 4 distinct patterns emerged. The first one was people who were into independent networks. You know, groups like Flats Without Brokers, Buy and Sell on Facebook, upselling, stuff like that. The second group was the hustlers, the guys who wanted to make stuff happen, the guys who joined startups, who were following the startup scene in Delhi, Gurgaon, and Noida, the people who had small companies of their own. The third group were the creativity people. Some of you here I recognize from our feeds. They were photographers, poets, writers. They bought cameras. They curated their Instagram feeds. Really sweet. The fourth group was the explorers. The explorers were a fun bunch because they'd walk through the city and they'd talk about the beauty of the dawn and, you know, the wonderful streets of some Chandni Chowk. And very often they'd be the same guys who'd share tips about new restaurants and new places to eat. So what we did is, okay, these are the guys who were interested in coming to TEDxGurugram. Let's look at their friends. But let's put a filter on it. Let's look at their friends who had no interest of coming to TEDxGurugram, had never watched a TED video in their lives. So a very small sample, but we went after it. And what did we discover? They were a completely different animal. They were into fitness, biking. Some of them were obsessed with their alumni, you know, the colleges, the schools. A lot of them were first-time fathers. A small bunch was what we call wannapreneurs, you know, people talking about starting up something but never starting something up. What I want to really make you think about when you see this graph is that at scale, and the internet is about scale, everyone is actually quite boring. All your individuality, all your traits, all your really clever quips about the government, they're all pretty much boring. Someone else is doing them, you're also doing them. These are all traits. At scale, your passions, your interests actually become clouds. They become clouds and you disappear in the noise. However, and this is what I like doing, is when you look at people's documentation, not at their interests, not at their passion, but if you look at people's documentations, things start getting interesting very fast. One of the biases a lot of us have is we believe that the stuff we see on our mobile phones, the feeds of photographs of food, videos that we share, are pretty much the same globally. Apart from a few cultural and a few political differences, the entire world's feed pretty much looks the same. When you look at the phone, and when I look at the phone, or when he looks at the phone, and when she looks at the phone, barring a few differences, they're all going to see the same stuff. This is a very healthy bias to have, because if you actually experienced the extent and the magnitude of information being uploaded right now, we would all freak out. And I want to take you on a little bit of this freak out journey. This is Gurgaon. Let's go northwest of here to a town called Jhajjar. It's a small town. You never hear about it in your digital marketing planning. You never hear about it when someone wants to do a Facebook campaign. It's a small town with a small population, very little digital footprint, ignored by most people. Let's look at what this town is documenting. First, we go to YouTube. Immediately, we see videos of kids wrestling. We see a man obsessively peeling off labels from Pepsi Cola bottles and documenting their registration number. We see the funeral of a major in an army. He was a man from Jhajjar who went and joined the Indian Army, got killed, came back, was burnt in public, and the videos were uploaded. We see a very strange man finding old photographs in trash cans in Jhajjar, scanning them and uploading them on YouTube. Let's look at Instagram now from Jhajjar. Instagram is the home of the food blogger and the fashion blogger, pictures of what you ate, blessed, inspirational memes. Let's see what Jhajjar does on Instagram. So when we go to Instagram, we go to Jhajjar on Instagram, we see some pretty strange stuff. We see a man working out obsessively. We see a lot of documentation of faded posters. We see lonely dogs. Then we go into homes, and we see a man lying on a bed with a Bhagat Singh shirt. And we see another man meticulously spelling Jat with bullets. Now, all of this is life, right? This is life. It's not exciting, it's kind of messy, and it's happening all around us. How do we make sense of all of this data? How do we make sense of all these selfies, all of these images, all of these videos being uploaded? The first thing we do is we understand and we develop a principle for why something has been uploaded in the first place. The winning image is not the only image that was taken. It's a photograph or a video that has won over many other photographs and videos. It's an image that frames the life of the viewer for the audience. It says, this is who I am, this is what I believe in, look how well I've controlled the filters. The message in uploading is, you, the audience, will see exactly what I want you to see. It's an act of aggressive framing. It's an act of control. You will see what I want you to see. So we look. We look at context, we look at framing, we attempt to develop classifications on this volume of life data that is emerging. Let's go to Gurgaon and attempt this classification. We uploaded about 10,000 images onto our servers and said, what's going on in Gurgaon? Computationally, the first cluster was men working out, men posing with guns, men showcasing their cars, not their real cars, the cars they were posing next to. The second cluster was traffic, and we saw this peak in the morning and we saw it peak in the evening. And there's a lot of frustration and anger when people upload in traffic. They hate the government, they talk about the fellow sort of other people trapped around them, they complain about bikers. It's a very toxic conversation. The third cluster is consumption, beers, malls, buying, shopping, selling. So these are three immediate clusters we see in Gurgaon. Now I want you to do a quick thought experiment. It's 2045 or 2050, and general purpose artificial intelligence has taken over. It is doing an audit of the various cities in India, and it goes to Gurgaon and does the same exercise we just did. It looks at all of the uploads, trying to develop a sense of what's going on culturally in Gurgaon. It sees guns, it sees traffic, and it sees alcohol, drinking, consumption. What would general purpose AI conclude? They're building an army, they're wasting resources, and they're just shopping. Might as well destroy them. Inefficient. I'm glad you laughed, because we see an entire industry globally dedicated to doing this kind of analysis, where they reduce the magnitude of the world's data to pie charts. 12% positive sentiment, 6% food pictures, and a lot of investment, whether it's in machine visioning or text analysis, is based on reducing the world into this. It makes it more manageable, but we're losing something. And to me, this model seems criminal. We do it, but it's criminal. Today, I want to share a slightly alternative sensibility with you. It's a sensibility that's emerged of my experiences as an anthropologist, a crime researcher. It's based on a very simple idea. Do you remember when I told you that images are frames and acts of control? What I'd like to share with you now is a slight subpoint to that. The more you control, the more aggressively you control, the more slips through. In psychoanalysis, this is called the slip of the tongue, where a phrase betrays a lot more than was intended about the patient. In this context, let's call it the slip of the image. And in an image-dense environment like the one we live in today, where there are thousands of images, there are also thousands of slips. And if you focus on the slips and the gaps and the extra information that slipped out of the control of the photographer, you can see things, you can ask questions that you never thought were possible. I know this sounds a little abstract. Let's go back to the Gurgaon data and see how this would work there. Let's look at our thugs, our really macho men in the beginning with their guns, with their biceps, with their pecs. And let's do a deep scan of everything else they upload. We notice a very curious pattern. Every time they're not flexing, they're sticking their hands in their pockets. What does this mean? Is it an act of showcasing? Are they too cool for gloves? What does it mean? Either way, the next time you meet someone on the road who is from this region, stick your hands in your pockets. He might mistake you for one of his own, and you might start an interesting conversation. The second, of the 100 million photographs around traffic, about 10% have something very curious going on in them. We find these really dense and congested environments, and these photographs of people really frustrated in cars. And suddenly we'll see someone write a couplet under it. Someone write a little poem. Sky looking so forlorn. It's like, oh, I don't even want to read it, but yeah. And what's interesting about this is that imagine being in a traffic jam. Imagine looking at that one guy screaming, and then looking over his shoulder and seeing that other guy on his mobile phone. Is he on the verge of discovering his inner Ghalib? It's a question worth asking the next time you're in traffic, because the data suggests that 10% of us are. Finally, the shoppers, the ones who are eating, consuming, the ones we all hate, right? If you do a deeper scan of their timeline, what you'll notice is that they're extremely lonely. And the mall is the only place where they can express friendship, where they can meet their friends, where they can hang out after a long day of work. Imagine the world we have created, where the only space left to exercise and express friendship is in a mall. And we wonder why we have problems. Stuff like this is happening all the time. There are thousands and thousands of such slips of an image, thousands and thousands of such story trails being uploaded every second. Every second. And we risk losing them all. We risk losing them all because we are so obsessed with reducing it to numbers and Excel sheets and making them manageable. Take a look at this guy. He's a young English boy. I started looking at him about a year ago. This is him washing his car. This is him training to join the army. This is him in a simulated war environment. This is him deployed in Afghanistan. And this is him in a live battle. There's a lot of story trails. There's a lot of stories being uploaded. We're losing them all. And I think we're at a unique point in our history where future historians would not have to rely on manuscripts, newspapers, legal documents, faded diary entries, crumbling archives. We are writing the first draft of everything right now. It's happening right now. And what we do is going to echo through eternity. Let's make our uploads count. Thank you very much.